And we're live on match day as Doug reaches for a buffalo wing. He's got it! Oh, and he's gone for a can of Pepsi too! What a finish! There's no doubt about it. It just tastes better. Match days deserve Pepsi.
Katz and Cosby, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, who can give us a better reading of what the heck is going on in the elections? And Hank Sheinkopf, a Democratic strategist for forever and ever. And Hank, what's going to happen tonight?
I'm not sure, John. I have to say that, look, there's a lot at risk here. I mean, the Democratic Socialists of America, who are not Democrats, let's be clear about that. These are not Democrats. These are whatever they are. They stand to pick up at least one seat. Brad Lander, who the former controller who failed as a mayoral candidate, is their candidate against Dan Goldman. They stand to win that seat. The other two are, Lasher, the other three. Lasher and versus Boris is probably very interesting. Who knows? Because Boris has run a spectacular campaign, and he's really come on strong at the end. Although the district was cut to make sure the West Side had an advantage where Lasher lives, and the Nadler endorsement, outgoing Congressman Nadler's endorsement does matter there. It seems that Espaillat will win, and it's likely that African American voters in the southern portion of that district will probably keep him in power. They're the ones that will help the Dominicans do that. And the race in Brooklyn is very close, but I think that you have to give it to Reynoso, the borough president of Brooklyn, because he's endorsed by Nydia Velázquez, who was the first Puerto Rican woman elected to Congress, a voting member, and not a resident commissioner. And her endorsement matters, and she's very powerful, and she's a legacy figure, but it could be a very close race, and I could be wrong about that.
You know, Hank, one of the things that I thought was really interesting in the early votings, the 9 days of early votings, and it was about 11% of the early voters were under the age of 30, which was a little bit low. And that's lower compared to, obviously during when Mondani was running last year around this time. Does that bode well for an Espaillat versus his challenger, the Chevalier woman who has defund everything?
Well, the Chevalier woman is a stone cold Jew hater, a racist, and a liar. Otherwise, she's perfect. So people in the district will probably be smart and not vote for her. She rejoiced after October 7th. There's nothing else to say about her. The fact that younger voters are not turning out bodes well for the electorate and for the nation, frankly.
What does it mean, Hank, too, if they do get in? Say it turns out, and Mondani, the mayor, has made no bones about it, saying that that he hopes that this is the beginning of a trend. He's obviously, Espaillat endorsed him, remember, in the mayor's race, but he desperately wants, far to the left of Adriano Espaillat, that he's willing to endorse Chevalier, who you just described so aptly. So you've got her. What does it say if they do get in, or if it say it's two or three of them get in?
Well, what it says is that the country is probably on its way to destruction, that this will be a national trend of people who have never paid a price, no born or burden, who have legitimate grievances. I mean, it is too expensive to eat these days. It is too expensive to buy gas for many people. It is too expensive to buy a home. Those are real things. But what we have are people who don't want that necessarily. What they want to do is entirely destroy the system. They have three basic objectives: health care for all, which is reasonable as part of a party platform; affordable housing; get rid of the billionaires it's for, and kill the Jews. Otherwise, it's perfect. Hank.
The
case, but when you listen to the mayor's rhetoric, there is no question. And when you see what happened in Brooklyn yesterday, when a United States congressman who happens to be Jewish can be turned away from a store when he buys a cup of coffee and effectively cursed, there's something wrong with our system, and it needs immediate repair, or it won't be a system.
Hank, you hit on the coffee shop. I was appalled. I'm not Jewish, but to me, I'm such a big supporter of Israel. I'm a big supporter of freedom. And the fact that the coffee shop came out and said, we don't serve racist, fascist, homophobes, genocide enablers. I mean, they doubled down. And it reminded me, recently, there was that college kid who was applying for an internship I think he was a Cornell
Cornell.
student, right? Applying for, and it turned out that the people who ran the startups were Jewish. And then he came right back out and said, I don't work for Jews. And then he doubled down and said, too bad, I'm not going to do it. Like publicly, it's this unabashed public bashing, doubling, tripling down. It's very concerning. It's a really hate-filled rhetoric that we're seeing with a lot of people in this country, Hank.
Well, they're delusional about what happens. They need to look at the UK, the United Kingdom, and see what grooming parties are about. And you have to ask what happened to the Assyrian Catholics, the Chaldean Catholics, the Yazidi, the Zoroastrians, the Baha'i. Let's see what else we can go on. Let's see. How about the Coptic Christians who got shot as if they were garbage on a regular basis and murdered? How about the 600,000 people, men, young, mostly children and women, who were extinguished in Syria by chemical and biological weapons? The millions have been murdered in Sudan and Somalia. I can go on and on and on. The Armenian Catholics, the fact that that Cyprus is 50% occupied, it's a lie. It's a particularistic lie. If the same thing happened, if you take the numbers, put them in context, 2,000 in Israel on October 7th is probably equal to 35,000. I think for 2,500 people, the United States went to war and 60 million people died. It is absurd. It will wind up in nothing. There is no future for Jews in New York, clearly, and that people had better wake up because it begins with the Jews, it starts with the Jews, and never ends with the Jews. That is a fact of life. This mayor is an anti-Semite and a Jew hater. His rhetoric is consistent with traditional Jew-hating tropes. And like I said, you're next.
Yeah, very frightening. Craig Eaton.
Hank, it's great always to talk to you. But, putting that aside, putting Mondami aside for a second, how do we get back to where we were 20 years ago when we had Democrats and Republicans and not far left and far right? I mean, when I was the chairman in Brooklyn for 12 years, Frank Sedia was one of my closest friends, and we worked together. The Democratic chairman in Brooklyn, the Republican chairman in Brooklyn, we worked together to make sure that we had the right, common sense Democrats or Republicans representing us in the city, state, and federal government. Today, it's just a crapshoot. I mean, out there, the people that are running, they're running far left people, and they're trying to take over. I don't know if we can ever get back to normalcy in the city of New York. I don't know what we can do to get back there.
Well, how dangerous this all is, Craig. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. How dangerous this all is that, the DSA now these are not Democrats. They've taken over the carcass of a dead animal, the Democrat Party, and taken over with like larvae and are using it for their own good because they can't get on the ballot in most states as a third party. But, Washington, D.C., New York, Chicago, where last weekend 7 people were murdered. And now Los Angeles is possible to go in the wrong direction. It is an attack on the democratic system. It's an attack on pluralism. It's an attack by people who do not wish the country well. Do we have problems? Yes. Do we need income tax reform? Yes. Do we need medical care reform? Yes. Do we need to make it easier for younger people to buy homes? The answer is yes. But what's happening here is that people don't know history. And we have been invaded by a foreign entity that does not believe in pluralism. Are we going to get back to that? No, we're going to have to fight for it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's very frightening, Hank, that they blatantly are talking anti-Israel, blatantly anti-police, I mean, everything. I mean, the fact that they're saying everybody, even murderers, should be deported, anti-Pentagon. I mean, what kind of a world are they living in?
They are living in a world that they will create if they are not stopped. We have never taught our children civics properly. We have a generation of people, now 2 generations, who have never paid a price nor borne a burden, have no idea what democracy costs. And that's why that fellow Plattner, whatever his name is in Maine, is doing.
Yeah, Graham Plattner, yeah.
Because no one remembers Normandy. They've not been taught about it. And the price that was paid by the 9,300 or more young men, many of whom had never made the age of 18 in the fight against fascism and haters. Would destroy the Sini, the Romani. It's really, in addition to the Jews. I mean, and Jehovah's Witnesses and gay people. What are we talking about?
Well, Hank Sheinkopf, thank you for telling it, and God bless you and God bless America. And
Pray for New York.
And we hope that people are smart enough to vote the right way.
Prayer might not be sufficient, John. Get into the streets.
Yeah.
Tell that guy in Brooklyn who's at that coffee shop that he has no place in New York. Shut his places down.
Well,
Put him out
he
of
owes
business.
$800,000 in taxes. Maybe the New York State will do something about it.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, let's see what happens. Don't bet on it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you,
We'll
Hank.
talk again real soon.